Welcome back, rankers. Just putting the timer on so that we get onto YouTube schedule, because if you go over 10 minutes, then you've got to break the show up, and it's a pain in the bum to do that, so I try to avoid it. Okay, timer's going. Right, a couple of lots of stuff happening this week. Google's announced 2 new improvements. We started getting a lot of questions this week from people via Twitter and clients and that sort of thing, who were saying, looks like our rankings are bouncing around a lot. Well, not so much clients, because we tell them. So we were getting these questions via Twitter. So I asked the guys here, I said, I want you to have a look at a cross-section of our sites and find out if we've got, any major, and when I say major, I'm thinking about movements of more than 5 spots overnight. And we came up with about 2 or 3 sites where we'd seen some keywords fluctuate either up or down by about 5 spots overnight, which is pretty unusual. Usually you'll see increments of 1, 2, 3, unless the campaign's just starting and the guys have just got that initial SEO, and then you'll see a spike. But if the campaign's been going a while, usually you'll only see increments of 1 or 2 spots. Anyway, we found a few. And so we confirmed that on Twitter with a couple of other SEO companies who are seeing similar things. And then this morning, Google has announced 2 new improvements. Now, I did a show back in 2006 on this, where Google had acquired an algorithm from an Australian guy called Ori Allen, and he had come up with a system so that it would display more of a site's content within the search results from related information. And to show you what I mean there, if we go and have a look at, say, a search over here, and excuse me, so the search I've done here is just the phrase climate change. And you can see here, it's just, usually Google will have the usual 2 snippets of information from the page. Now, quite often that's your description tag, which means that's one of the reasons why you have to have a great description tag, because it's sort of your sales pitch, if you like, to someone looking at your results in the search engines. Now, what these new changes have done, or his algorithm has done, it's looking for more related phrases around your initial search phrase. And that's how you get, related searches down the bottom here. So we've got searches related to climate change. So not only is climate change, if you're just searching for the words climate change, a very dumb search engine is just going to return you those words. But what Google's doing with related searches is saying, well, global warming also relates to climate change, causes of climate change, Kyoto protocols related to climate change discussion. So that's one thing. But what it's also doing now is that if you were to type in a longer phrase like, are planets other than Earth also going through climate change, you're going to see now longer snippets in the results. So before we saw less than 2 full lines, now here we're getting 4 and 5 lines of results. Now the reason for this is that Google's saying, okay, well that's a fairly long search and there's a lot of words and phrases in that search. So we're going to go and return results for you that try to answer that question or try to get more information about those related phrases from the sites. Now, because you've got more words there, you're going to get longer explanations in the results pages. So, for instance, and then down here you'll see you've got the related changes as well. So what some people are saying, some SEO companies are saying, oh, thanks very much, Google, you're trying to answer everything in a single search, which is kind of what I guess the search engines are trying to do. So you don't actually have to go to the site. So you're going to make money off our content and the client will never actually get to our site, or the web server will never actually get to our site. I think that's a little extreme, a little shrill, but that's what some people are saying anyway. Now, just quick questions from the Twitterverse this morning. We've had Kerry B ask, hi Jim, I'd like to know, I'll try to read what's on the screen. Hey Jim, I'd be keen to know how syndicated content is viewed by search engines. Also, is this seen as duplicated content? Well, yes, it is. So if you're just trying to build a site based on getting other people's content, syndicating other people's content to your site, it's unlikely that you're going to rank, because what Google will do is that when it first finds that content, presumably on the site that you're syndicating from, it's going to rank that site before it ranks your site. Because what Google doesn't want to do, and what it would make it a really crap search engine, would be if it just had the top 10 results were all the same. It'd be boring, you'd never use it again. That's why duplicate content isn't going to rank for you. If, however, it's the other way around, and you're syndicating the content out, then that's a good thing, because quite often if you syndicate content out, you'll have a link back to the originator of the content, and that will be you. That will be a backlink, and you'll be getting it from content that is also related to your site. So that's a good thing. Krigsy has asked this morning also how important, well actually he asked last night because he's too lazy to get up in the morning. He said, how important is keyword density? I've heard mixed opinions. Well, you know, keyword density was something we used to talk back about a lot in the late 90s, and that's basically all search engine optimization was back then, was keyword density. These days, look, it's less important, but you know, if you don't have the keywords on your site, then it's going to be very difficult for Google to rank for you. But as we saw from the changes this morning with Google, that they can do a lot with keywords and work out what other keywords they're related to. So it's important, but it's not as important as making sure that you have good content and that you have sensible content and content that people can read. So the days of just piling in heaps and heaps of keywords is over. But having your keywords in the right places on the site, like in headings and page titles and all those sorts of normal things that we talk about, is important. But it's less important to overdo it. What Google's looking for more than, say, keyword density and those sorts of things is how much of that content that you have and how related it is to the bigger picture around that content. That's why it's going to be so important now, as we've seen with these changes today, to have more content on your site that's related to the subject that you're talking about, because you're going to get more traffic from people searching what we call the long tail phrase, or people searching, putting questions into Google, or having very, very detailed search phrases into Google. So yeah, keyword density not as important, and but it's more these days about making sure you get your keywords in there, but also making sure you have good content, link the content, link your keywords, good anchor text, all those sorts of things. Things that just let the search engines know what the page is about, which is what you're trying to do at the end of the day. Okay, just quickly, I'm not going to bore people too much this week with the censorship stuff. I got a bee in my bonnet last week about it, and I flew up to Canberra and I joined the protest rally on the steps of our national parliament, along with a few other people, and thank you to everybody who helped organise that last week. I'll put the link to the speeches up in this video. Also, though, what happened the day after the show last week is that the Australian Communications and Media Authority blacklists became public, simply because one of the participating software vendors, Interguard, someone just basically put their software into a hex editor and found that there was an ACMA blacklist.txt embedded in the software, so they just opened it up and there it all was. And the sites that were on that Australian blacklist, 75% of them were legal in the offline world. Okay, so what the government's saying is that they're going to filter these things, and you're not going to get to them as an Australian, and including sites like Betfair.com, which is a large gambling site, and heaps of poker gambling sites. Now, why that's really annoying to me is because I love playing poker online, and also I love playing poker offline, but it's really annoying to me because in Australia, we're allowed to gamble on everything, and it's great. It's free, freedom. We can gamble on what we want, unless it's online. But there's heaps of sporting things that you can gamble online, like the horses, the footy, everything else. But you can't gamble on poker online. So that's it for this week. That's it for the blacklist for the moment. I think it's dead in the water. I can't see how Senator Conroy can return from the dead on this one, but we'll wait and see. Remember, if you've got any questions, send them to me via Twitter, Jimboot, and I'll answer them there. Thanks very much. See you next week. Bye.